thank you, Kennedale, for joining us on this Kennedale News video edition. I first wanted to thank our sponsor, sprinklerrepairofTexas.com. If you have a sprinkler broke, or if you need an irrigation installation or any issues in the yard, give Sprinkler Repair of Texas a chance. You can find more information on sprinklerrepairofTexas.com, and here's a video from them.
Hey, is your sprinkler broke? We can fix it. Sprinkler Repair of Texas.com.
My name is Jeff Nevarez, and I'm the owner of Kennedale News, and I'm here with Chad G. Excuse me. I do that every time with you, too. Chad G., Superintendent of Kennedale ISD. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. I know it's been a long couple months for you, and we just did a video probably about a month ago. I just wanted to come back around and do a little follow-up. There was a huge announcement from you guys last week, and so we'll just talk about that here in a minute. But first, I just wanted to thank you for your leadership in this matter. I mean, we couldn't have picked a better man for the job, not even knowing what was going to go on. But between you and your staff and all the schools and the principals and the teachers, as a parent, on behalf of my wife and I just want to thank you and your staff. It's been amazing. We couldn't have asked for anything better with the situation.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, and my staff greatly appreciates it. We have assembled a very good staff, and I cannot brag enough about the leadership of Dr. Vu and what she's done with her curriculum department, and Brian Franklin, our director of technology. He has done an incredible job with his group and just what they've been able to do in the sheer amount of time, you know. And I'm going to correct you real quick. It's been a rough month because it's only been 1 month. This all started on March 13th for us.
I guess it's been a month, yeah. It feels like 2 months to us parents.
I saw a joke the other day that someone said, you know, I think it was the end of March, and they said March 97th, you know, so it was March was a very long month for us. But it has been only a month that all this took place. And, you know, our staff has done an incredible job, but, you know, I want to brag on public education across our state. You know, what public education has been able to do in a short period of time has been phenomenal. And I think it really goes back to, and I'll like to address this later, you know, in our broadcast, but what we've been called upon to do and what school districts have been able to do in a short period of time is remarkable.
I have to agree with that completely. And we also in a phase in our technology to where we can capable of doing this, just infrastructure wise with the internet and the speeds and what an ISD can do and what's hosted online through ISD that's secure for our students. And it's just unbelievable what's out there.
Well, there's been a lot of troubleshooting, you know, and everybody was like, well, you know, the social media likes to create a lot of problems for us because everybody thinks that we need to have things right now. And the reality is there's a lot of troubleshooting. You being an IT guy, you know, sure, there are a lot of things and considerations you've got to go through before you can start putting things out there, and to make sure that it's secure and make sure that you have the capacity to support it. And that's where Brian Franklin, our director of technology, and his group have done a phenomenal job, and Dr. Vu working in coordination with them to sit there and put out what they could handle at the time. And then having the capacity within our teaching and our staff to sit there and be able to put it out to our students in Google Classrooms. So it's been a fast process, but it's been a very hard thought out process.
Well, I have a 7th grader in the other room doing the online courses with her teachers. She's actually got a 2 o'clock Zoom meeting, I believe. And then I have a kindergarten in the other room as well doing video learning as well from her teacher, Miss Wixon. And she's also has the access to the Sesame Street and the other products that she uses at school, which has been helping my 2-year-old who's been sitting next to her and doing those types of games too. So it's kind of a double whammy for us. But they're working really hard and it's working. So all that behind the scenes stuff, we do really appreciate it. So let's go to that. So last week you guys sent out an email and you guys have been totally communicative with all the parents. We get at least 3 emails a week for a month now. And that email expressed how we're going to take this week. We're supposed to be on spring break 2 is what I call it. And we're moving that to the end of the school year, which is going to lessen our active school year to May 15th, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so for the next month, we're all doing online courses the way we have been for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, let me give you some of the thought process there. We were, we had the 8-second break scheduled in April. All this took place. A lot of time and effort was and thought process was put into getting Google Classrooms and getting the capacity for online learning up and running. And to suddenly stop that and take a week off didn't make a whole lot of sense to us. So we figured, the continuing the educational capacity of our students, and everybody's getting used to this, continuing with that was going to be better off and more practical for our students and for our staff than and to sit there and end our school year sooner was more practical approach for us.
That, I mean, it makes sense to all us out here as well. There's no doubt about that. So this obviously creates a lot of questions, and that's why I reached out to you in your office to see if we can get just some minor details out of the way. Let's start with seniors, class of 2020. Obviously, they're not going to have a prom. Is it possible that they can still walk?
I have a senior. My son is doing online learning at home as well, and he's a senior this year. And baseball season, has been a complete wash. So we're struggling through some of those things as parents and ourselves. So we've had to adjust. These seniors were born into a world of chaos with 9/11, and now they're graduating in a world of chaos with COVID-19. So it's been quite an experience as a parent for both of those events to take place and be so significant in their lives. But it changes things. But Mr. Cagle's been very proactive, and he and I have been in communication. We have venues that we rented out for both prom and for graduation. And we have been in contact with both of those venues. And of course, because we've rented those spaces, we're at their ability to host those venues. And right now, neither one of them are in the capacity with the way things are shut down to be able to host. But with our timelines, we have two plans basically in place. We have the first plan would be a prom on May 20th with graduation on May 22nd. So you'd have prom on a Wednesday night and then have graduation on a Friday night. That's if everything works out the way the governor has said that we can come back into schools on the 4th. That the stay-at-home order would end, but now he's I believe the emergency order that came out yesterday, he just extended that to the 13th. So I'm assuming that the stay-at-home would stay in place as well. I'm assuming with that. But we have that plan, but we've also got a backup plan to where if we have to, we're going to push prom to the 6th of June and then graduation on the 20th of June with both of those venues. And I will say that the Texas Rangers Globe Life Park and the UTA have both been very accommodating in trying to help us move those dates. But we are at the will of those venues being available at those times. So,
Well, that's good news, though, that is the impossibility of a prom and walking, because I know you'll remember yours. I remember mine. That's one memory that we have for the rest of our lives.
Like I said, it's been a lot of instability lately, and to be able to host those two things, I think would bring back a lot of stability for those kids to finish out.
So let's talk about grades, because colleges are not waiting. They're saying apply right now. You better reserve your apartment. So colleges are moving forward. How is Kennedale ISD treating the grades, especially when it comes to the seniors?
I'll address the seniors first. The seniors actually was pretty simple. Last year, when I first came in, we switched to a 9-week grading period, and that kind of caused some angst at first, but it's now working out very, very beneficially for us because we finished our third 6 weeks, our third 9-week grading period right before we went on spring break. So our grades finally, in fact, you asked me about that, and I think on the first interview we did about grades, and I said, we'll get them out, and those grades finalized, and we got those out to everyone. By our board policy, and because we switched to the 9-week grading periods for our seniors, grades cut off at that third 9 weeks for GPAs. So our ranking and all that for seniors was pretty much done already. Now they still have to finish out their classes, and they have to pass those classes to get credits to graduate. And so that's where this fourth 9 weeks comes into play for the seniors. But as far as GPAs, all that shut off after the third 9 weeks. So for seniors, it was pretty simple. Now, for everyone else, we've had to create a grading task force. They just brought the report to me this morning. And we'll be taking that to the board to bring about in a board resolution to adjust for grading policies from here on out. And hopefully we should have that either Thursday or Friday, that board meeting Thursday or Friday night to adopt that.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is GPA cutoff for seniors right before spring break. And then everything after that is like, if you don't do the work, you won't pass. But if you do the
You
work,
won't
you'll
graduate
pass.
because you didn't get the credits. They have to earn the credits. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move on to some of the lower grades. I know one of my daughter's biggest concerns is her, really expensive basketball shoes are in her locker and probably an old lunch. Is there some capability this summer where we can turn in our laptops and get our stuff from our lockers?
I'm going to tell you, we had this discussion. I've had this discussion several times with our director of technology, Mr. Franklin. For the safety of our staff and for the safety of our students, we're not in a big hurry to get those things back. What our plan is right now going forward would be that we would schedule a time for our seniors to turn in their Chromebooks and whatever textbooks. Most of our textbooks are online. So we really don't have an issue with textbooks, but our Chromebooks are a big issue because that's a big part of what we try to do. Having seniors turn theirs in, but what our plan going forward is right now for everyone else just to bring their Chromebooks back with them at the beginning of the school year. We're one-to-one, basically 5th through 12th grade. So those students, those laptops are checked out to those students anyway, so they'd already have their Chromebooks. So I said laptops, Chromebooks. But then we have checked out some to our elementary students who needed it for the online learning. They would just simply bring those back to school and check those in when they return to school next fall. And then as far as lockers, I know your daughter's basketball shoes are important to her, and we have some other students that may have some things in their lockers that are important to them. But right now, the safety of everybody is more important at this time. And I'd say that is still to be determined when it's safe, and when we get reports from the health. It may be something over the summer where we open up the schools and let students come in when we get word that everything's good to return back into the buildings.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. To go back to the seniors for a little bit, I know there's still scholarships out there, and they usually use the counselors for that resource. How can seniors still apply, or juniors, for this season, and what are some other resources they can use?
Well, our scholarships are all listed under our counselors. Our counselors have a counselor's corner that they have scholarship information on, and as those scholarships come in, they do push outs to all of our seniors for the availability of those scholarships. So our seniors have access to that already. And we also had a Go Center for our younger kids to start going into, and our seniors to go into. But all of that is available on our website and through our counselors already. And they're, Ms. Ramirez and Ms. Hunt did a great job of getting that information out to everyone. I don't see that being an issue as far as the scholarships being available to the students. A lot of times it's just the students taking the initiative to apply for them.
And I know there's several apps that also does that. You can reach out to your congressman's office. They can also point you to some federal grants. And one other resource that a lot of people don't know about, as an SEO expert, a lot of companies have their own $1,000 scholarship on their website to help rank it. And it's easy to apply to. I believe there's about $1 billion a year of unclaimed scholarships every year out there. So if you're a senior or a parent or a junior, they're out there. Start applying now, and now's the time.
Yes, there are lots of unclaimed scholarships to go, obviously unclaimed, just simply because people don't take the initiative to go reach out for them. And I believe our counselors make those sites available to our students. Let's
switch to sports, since your senior's son is a baseball player.
Okay.
URL events are still canceled. I know Coach Wilcox had sent us a video for his archery team. What's the update? What's the status of that? We're still canceled. It's just done for the season.
Well, UIL, some things don't fall under UIL, like archery doesn't fall under UIL, powerlifting doesn't fall under UIL. But the UIL sports, their plan is anything that was scheduled for state championship, they will continue with that as soon as schools resume. As far as the spring sports seasons, baseball, softball, I don't know that those sports are going to be played. You'd be pushing those, first off, you've had a month off, so they'd have to have time to practice and get back into shape and back into playing shape. And then what kind of season would they be able to have in a short period of time? And I don't know that those will take place, but the state championship games like basketball that didn't get finalized, the girls got finished, but the boys didn't. Those will finish out. Our UIL academics will finish out. I think we had several students that qualified for state. Those are still being planned, assuming the school resumes.
Okay. And then let's talk about the accounts. So you have a lot of lunch meal accounts, and there's a lot of things paid out for that were upcoming field trips and things like that. What can you update us about things like that?
As far as the lunchroom accounts, Mr. Adams and Mrs. Hummiston, our child nutrition director, they have created a email address called food service refund at kisdtx.net. Make sure I got that right. Food service refund at kisdtx.net in order to refund monies out of accounts to parents who at this time may simply be needing that money, at this time. Some parents had quite a bit of money on those accounts. Other accounts don't have any money on them. So basically, they'll let you know whether you have money on the account or not. There are parents who just want to roll it over to next year, and they're able to do that as well. But unless they contact them at that email address that I just gave, then they're going to assume that they want to roll it over.
And what about seniors? Are you just going to automatically refund?
We should, yes. So,
Okay.
Well, seniors also have to take care of fines before they graduate. So that all kind of washes out, so we have to make sure that we get all the Chromebooks and all that stuff back to finalize the season. That's why we'll have a senior Chromebook turned in, and we'll make sure that all the accounts are square. Now, as far as the like field trips and stuff, I know that we had some field trips that were scheduled and were canceled. Some parents had already paid for those. Really, our buildings have been shut down, and we have been basically no access for our employees, trying to comply with the orders from the county judge and from the governor. So we've been trying to really keep people away from our buildings. As far as that we're still working on a plan to refund that money to everyone, but that may be at the beginning of next year on those, or over the summer.
So you said graduation. What about summer school for those who didn't graduate for whatever reason, or not even lower levels, not graduating up?
We, with what we have going on right now, I don't want you to say that our grading policy going forward is going to be very mindful of the fact that we have children trying to learn in an environment that is maybe not the most conducive environment for them. So we're going to be very, aware of those types of situations as far as promotion goes. But as far as summer school, quite honestly, I know a lot of the colleges are already planning on strictly online for the summer programs. We're assuming that we're going to get back into school, by May. We may not be able to do that by the end of May, and that could roll over into summer. So we really don't know what summer school at this point looks like. I know TA is developing a summer school program online that we are looking into that we could be adopting as well, which is another reason why we really kind of like for our students to keep the Chromebooks over the summer.
Okay, that's understandable. So possibly online. I expect us to get back to work probably by June, but I'm sure there's going to be some social distancing and, large groups. And obviously one of the best carriers of any disease is schools. Kids pass around.
We have a large population of people in a small area. Yes. So, when you look at it, sometimes we're like a little mini city in ourselves. So that's,
You talked about the possible disconnect from because we had to switch to online and it was, a little rush, but it's there. Do you expect some sort of repercussions the beginning of next year to get the kids up to speed?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I will say this, we live in a age of uh, accountability and standardized testing. And, because of that, we have to be prepared for those. And I would say that over 3/4 of our TEKS, and it's the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, the TEKS laid out as the standards for our grade level learning. So from 3rd grade through 12th grade, well, junior year with the testing, I would say that the over 3/4 of those TEKS were met already by the time that we broke for spring break. And quite honestly, a lot of it is review after we come back from spring break, getting ready for the testing. So I would say the majority of our essential knowledge and skills were already taught. Now, with our lower grade levels from pre-K through 2nd grade, that continues throughout the school years. Those are developmental years. And we most definitely believe that we could have some regression there. And so a lot of what we do when we come back at the beginning of the school year will be heavy remediation to begin out the school year next year.
Do you see the next school year being different because of all this?
I think everything's going to be different. Quite honestly, I saw Mark Cuban speak this morning on the news before I came into work, and he's saying businesses are going to be different. His business is going to be different. Every business is going to be different, and schools will be no different. In fact, if there's anything that has come out of this positively, is that it has forced us in a very short period of time to rethink the way we operate. And I think that if you're not looking to improve, then you're staying pretty stagnant. And I think we have shown that we can adapt and improve very quickly. And those are things that I think that we're going to have to look at. Our systems that we operate off of, as far as like our operations, we're going to have to automate a lot more systems. And it's really kind of forcing us to look at those things. And our teaching, the way we go about teaching. So I could see it being very different.
And also uniforming everything, making it instead of multiple apps, one way to do it for everybody, be familiar for everybody.
Well, and that was part of the process of when we put in Google Classrooms, was making sure that we were all aligned and that our grade levels were aligned, and that what we were putting out was an aligned model, as opposed to everybody being willy-nilly all over the place. And those were things that we had to think through, and a lot of that planning that we had to go through to make sure that what we put out there was viable.
All right, so my last question would be registration for next year. Is it going to be any different? Is it going to be more online? How do you see it?
Well, that's exactly what you just touched on, is that when I talked about those operating systems, registration would be one of those. And we were already looking at going to an online registration model, but we are supported through the Regional 11 Service Center. And what they had for an online registration wasn't working for us very well and for other districts. So they were actually, a new system was coming into place that we were rolling over onto. And actually we were just about to go on to that right now with the coming online, and we're going to have to sit there and get educated on that ourselves. But hopefully all of our registration, particularly our pre-K and kindergarten for next year, will be done online before the end of the school year's out. And hopefully up and running by May 1st, hopefully.
What about the, usually every year they have summer basketball training camps, or they also even have for band members and for the sports families, the checkups. Are we still going to continue to do something like that?
I just visited with Coach Barrett the other day about normally about this time we start conducting our physicals. Our board policy states that we have to have physicals for band and for athletics every year. And I think ours were scheduled for May 9th, and we're looking at pushing that back. He got in contact with our trainers who schedule that with local doctors. Part of the issue is our local doctors, with everything that's going on with the healthcare industry, going to be available to be able to do those physicals. And right now we believe they will be. It's just a matter of getting a later date. It may be over the summertime, but we will get it done over the summertime for those athletes. As far as camps and all of that, I think those are still to be determined based on when everybody is allowed to come back safely.
Okay, my last question.
Your last.
We had some projects that were up for this year, like some updates around for the schools. How has this affected that? Are we still moving forward? Is that just money that was already spent?
I've been having meetings the last 2 weeks. In fact, I just had a meeting about facilities right before I got on with you. I've got another meeting about facilities tomorrow. I had a meeting last week. We're moving forward. We have roofs that we need to get fixed on our CIA building, which is our curriculum instruction and assessment building, as well as Delaney Elementary and Arthur Intermediate. Those roofs are being evaluated. In fact, companies on those roofs this morning and all day today analyzing. We hired a roofing consultant to sit there and put out specs for us. And right now is a perfect time when nobody's in the buildings to address those issues. And then I just had a meeting about our safety and security and looking at our door locks and our security cameras and getting that in place before next school year as well. So we're still moving on with those things. So.
Any final thoughts to the parents and teachers out there that are watching?
Yeah, I actually some things that I heard, I brought up earlier that it's been 1 month, and what we've been able to do in 1 month has been truly amazing. And I think you're also seeing on social media, the appreciation that people, I think, are starting to have for teachers and for education in general. And it's not easy. And I think the key factor is that what people don't understand is that the relationships that educational professionals bring to it and what they build with kids and how important that is. And Easter was much different, yesterday. I'm sitting here listening to our pastor at our church yesterday, and he called it Easter 2020. And he said he related it to 2020 vision, and if anything's come out of this, it's made our vision much clearer. The clarity that's coming out of all of this. And, I'm a big sports, I played sports. I love sports. My kids have played sports. My wife played college sports. We love sports, but what we come to realize is we can do without sports. But what we can't do without is education, and we can't do without our healthcare providers. And I think our priorities and our clarity of our vision are becoming much more in tune with that. And I think the appreciation that's coming out of this for educators is much deserved. I think we have for a long time battled politicians and naysayers who want to badmouth education, but I think it's now coming out that how important education and teachers really are. So.
Fantastic. I think phenomenal is a better word to describe what you guys are doing, especially in that short amount of time. I appreciate your time, Chad, as always. If you guys have anything you need to announce, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to do that for you. If you want to do this again to update us, also, you have my phone number. I'd like to thank all my viewers out there as well.